I should have known something was wrong when Jeffrey handed me that drink with that smile. You know the one, too wide, too friendly, the kind that doesn't reach his eyes. My older brother never just gave me anything without strings attached. But it was Thanksgiving, and Mom had been pushing this whole family healing narrative for months. Please subscribe, drop a hi in the comments, and share your location. We love building a family around the world. Here, Donnell. Made you something special, Jeffrey said, sliding the red plastic cup across the kitchen counter. The liquid inside looked innocent enough, some kind of fruit punch mixed with who knows what. Our parents were in the living room arguing about whether to watch the game or the parade, typical holiday chaos. I picked up the cup, brought it to my lips. That's when I caught it. The smell. Subtle, chemical, wrong. Something beneath the sweetness that made my stomach turn. I'm not stupid, I've been to enough college parties to recognize when a drink's been tampered with. My hand froze. What's in this? I asked, keeping my voice level. Jeffrey's smile twitched. Just barely. What you mean? It's just punch, man. You paranoid or something. But I saw it. The flash of panic in his eyes. The way his shoulders tensed. My brother had put something in my drink. My own blood. The realization hit me like ice water. Why? What possible reason could he have? We'd had our issues, stolen girlfriends, money borrowed and never returned, lies told to our parents, but this? This crossed every line. That's when his girlfriend Shanice walked into the kitchen, laughing at something on her phone, completely oblivious to what was about to unfold. Actually, I'm good, I said, setting the cup down carefully. My mind was racing, calculating. Shanice looked up from her phone, her box braids swinging as she smiled at both of us. She'd been dating Jeffrey for 8 months, and honestly, she was too good for him. Everyone knew it. Smart, working on her master's degree in social work, genuine kindness that wasn't an act. You're not fighting already, are you? She asked, that hopeful tone people use when they're trying to keep the peace. It's Thanksgiving. Jeffrey laughed, but it sounded forced. Nah, just brotherly love. Right, D. I nodded slowly, watching him. He was sweating slightly, even though Mom kept the house cold. Right. Hey Shanice, you want something to drink? Jeffrey made this special punch. Her face lit up. Oh, for real? You know I love your punches, baby. You always make them sweet just how I like. Jeffrey's face went white. Actually white, despite his dark skin. Nah, that's for Donnell. I'll make you a fresh one. He reached for the cup, but I was faster. I grabbed it and handed it straight to Shanice. Don't be selfish, Mark. Share with your girl. The look he gave me could have killed. Pure hatred mixed with fear. But Shanice already had the cup, bringing it to her lips. Oh, you're sharing now? This is growth. Shanice, wait, Jeffrey started. But she'd already taken a long sip. This is good. What had you put in here? Everything slowed down. Jeffrey's face was a mask of horror. I felt sick but vindicated. If he was this scared, then I'd been right. My own brother had tried to drug me. 20 minutes passed like 20 hours. I stayed in that kitchen, watching. Jeffrey kept trying to get Shanice alone, kept asking if she felt okay or weird or needed to lie down. She brushed him off, confused by his sudden concern. I played it cool, acting like nothing happened, but inside I was documenting everything. Every nervous glance Jeffrey threw my way. Every time he pulled out his phone and quickly put it away. Baby, why you acting so strange? Shanice finally asked, touching his arm. You sick or something? Just worried about you, he muttered. That punch might have been too strong. She laughed. Boy, please. I barely feel anything. You must have made it weak. That's when I saw it, relief flooding Jeffrey's face. Whatever he'd put in there, it wasn't working fast. Or maybe not at all. I started second-guessing myself. Maybe I was paranoid. Maybe that smell was nothing. But no, The way he'd reacted told me everything. My phone buzzed. Text from my best friend Jerome. Still surviving family dinner? LMAO. I typed back, bro, you won't believe what just happened. Call you later. Mom called everyone to the table. Turkey, dressing, mac and cheese, greens, the whole spread. Jeffrey kept Shanice close, his hand possessive on her back. She seemed fine, laughing at Dad's terrible jokes, complimenting Mom's cooking. But I noticed Jeffrey barely touched his food. Just pushed it around his plate, eyes darting to Shanice every few seconds. Donnell, you awful quiet, Dad observed. Something on your mind, son? Everyone looked at me. Jeffrey's jaw clenched. This was my moment to expose him, but something held me back. I needed to know more. Needed to understand what he'd planned. Just grateful to be here, I lied. Family's everything, right? After dinner, while everyone migrated to the living room for dessert, I cornered Jeffrey in the hallway. His back was against the wall, literally and figuratively. The family photos behind him, years of forced smiles and coordinated outfits, felt like they were mocking us both. What was in the drink? I kept my voice low but hard. And don't lie to me again. Jeffrey's eyes shifted. I don't know what. Bro. I stepped closer. I'm giving you one chance to be real with me. What was in it? He crumbled faster than I expected. His shoulders sagged, and suddenly he looked less like the confident older brother who tormented me for years and more like a scared kid caught red-handed. It was just supposed to make you relaxed. Compliant. My blood went cold. Why? Because I need money, D. I'm in deep with some people, and I know you just got that insurance payout from the car accident. $10,000. I just needed you calm enough to transfer it to me, say it was for family emergency if anyone asked. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't process. My brother was going to drug me to steal my money. Money I got from being rear-ended so hard I had whiplash for 3 months. Money I'd saved for finishing my degree. So you just, what? Rob me while I was out of it. I'd pay you back. Shut up. Rage was building in my chest, hot and sharp. You gave that to Shanice. Your girlfriend. What happens to her now? Jeffrey's face twisted. It was a low dose. She'll be fine. Probably just sleepy. Probably. I grabbed his shirt. Probably? What kind of? What's going on? We both froze. Shanice stood at the end of the hallway, looking between us with growing confusion and concern. Shanice's voice cut through the tension like a knife. Jeffrey? Donnell? Why do you all look like that? She stepped closer, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. The concern in her eyes was genuine. She actually cared about both of us. That made what was about to happen even worse. I looked at Jeffrey. His eyes were pleading. Don't tell her, they said. Please. For once in your life, have my back. But why should I? He'd tried to drug me. To rob me. My own flesh and blood. Ask your boyfriend what he put in your drink, I said flatly. The color drained from Shanice's face. What? Donnell, don't, Jeffrey started, but I was done protecting him. That punch he made wasn't for you originally. It was for me. He spiked it with something to make me compliant, his words, so he could steal 10 grand from my account. But I smelled it and gave it to you instead. The silence that followed was deafening. I could hear the football game from the living room, Dad shouting at a bad call, Mom laughing. Normal family sounds while our world imploded in the hallway. Shanice looked at Jeffrey. Really looked at him. Tell me he's lying. Jeffrey opened his mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. Baby, it's complicated. Tell me he's lying. Her voice cracked, loud enough that the living room went quiet. Did you put something in that drink? Did I drink something you meant to give your brother? It's not what you think. She stumbled backward, hand over her mouth. Oh my God, Jeffrey, What did I take? What's going to happen to me? That's when my parents appeared, Mom's face creased with worry, Dad's hardening with anger as he assessed the scene. What's all this yelling about? Dad demanded. And just like that, Thanksgiving was officially over. The next hour was chaos. Pure, unfiltered family implosion. Mom crying, Dad shouting, Jeffrey trying to explain himself while somehow making it worse with every word. Shanice had locked herself in the bathroom, and I could hear her on the phone, probably calling her sister or best friend or maybe even the police. It was just melatonin. Jeffrey finally yelled, his last defense crumbling. And some Xanax I got from my boy. Not enough to hurt anyone, just enough to make him chill so we could talk about the money without him being difficult. Difficult. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You mean conscious? You mean able to say no to you stealing from me? Dad's voice was quiet, which was somehow worse than his yelling. You tried to drug your brother. In my house. On Thanksgiving. Dad, I was desperate. I don't care if you were dying. Dad roared, and even Jeffrey flinched. Our father rarely raised his voice, but when he did, it shook the walls. You don't drug people. You don't drug family. What kind of man have you become? Mom just kept crying, and I realized she was mourning something, the image of Jeffrey she'd held onto, maybe. The hope that he'd changed from the manipulative kid who'd lied his way through childhood to the manipulative adult who'd apparently learned nothing. The bathroom door opened. Shanice emerged, eyes red but voice steady. She'd made a decision. I could see it in the set of her jaw. She walked straight to Jeffrey, and for a moment, I thought she might slap him. But she did something worse. She pulled off the promise ring he'd given her 3 months ago and placed it in his palm. We're done, Shanice said, her voice eerily calm. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't show up at my apartment. We are done. Jeffrey grabbed her hand. Baby, please, just listen. I drank something you drugged. Each word was sharp, precise. I trusted you, and you poisoned me. There's nothing to explain. Nothing that makes this okay. It was for Donnell. Which is worse, she screamed, finally breaking. You were going to drug your little brother to rob him, and you're saying that like it makes this better? Like drugging anyone is acceptable. Mom tried to intervene. Shanice, honey, maybe we should all calm down. Mrs. Peterson, I love you, but no. Shanice's hands were shaking, but her voice stayed strong. Your son is dangerous. I need to go to the hospital, make sure whatever he gave me isn't going to hurt me long term. And I need to decide if I'm pressing charges. That last part made everyone freeze. Pressing charges. My brother could face actual legal consequences. Part of me felt vindicated. Another part felt sick. This was still my brother, the same guy who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd scared off bullies when I was in middle school, before everything between us went toxic. You don't have to do that, Jeffrey said quietly, desperately. I'll do anything. Pay for the hospital. Go to therapy. Whatever you want. I want you to have thought about what you were doing before you did it, Shanice said sadly. But we don't get what we want, do we? She turned to me. Donnell, I'm sorry you have to deal with this. And thank you for, I don't even know, warning me, saving me. This whole thing is crazy. Then she grabbed her purse and walked out, leaving Jeffrey standing there like a ghost. The house felt different after Shanice left. Smaller somehow, like the walls were closing in. Mom had stopped crying and started cleaning, her stress response, scrubbing the kitchen like she could wash away what happened. Dad sat in his recliner, staring at nothing, the football game playing to an audience of none. Jeffrey and I were back in that hallway. Same spot, different energy. All the fight had drained out of him. He looked hollow. I'm sorry, he said finally. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. For what exactly? I needed him to say it. All of it. For trying to drug me? For drugging your girlfriend instead? For only being sorry because you got caught? He flinched. All of it. Everything. You're right, I'm only sorry because it blew up in my face. If you'd drunk it, if I'd gotten the money, I probably would have convinced myself it was justified. The honesty was jarring. Jeffrey never admitted fault this completely. Who do you owe money to? Deshaun and his crew. Started with a bad bet, then borrowed to cover it, then borrowed more to cover that. Classic stupid spiral. He laughed bitterly. I'm 32 years old and making the same mistakes I made at 22. Same pattern, bigger stakes. How much? 15,000. They want it by New Year's or. He made a gesture that conveyed violence without words. A younger version of me would have felt sympathy, would have wanted to help. But that version of me hadn't been almost drugged by his own brother. You need to turn yourself in. Tell the cops about Deshaun's threats, get protection. I'm not a snitch. Then you're an idiot. I pushed past him, done with this conversation, done with him. But his voice stopped me. What about Mom and Dad? This is going to destroy them. I turned back. You destroyed them. You did this. Don't put that on me for telling the truth. 3 days later, Shanice did press charges. The police showed up at Jeffrey's apartment Tuesday morning. Mom called me crying, begging me to fix this somehow, like I had any power over legal consequences for attempted drugging. Dad just asked if I was okay, if I felt safe, if I needed anything. The difference in their reactions told me everything about their parenting. I met with Detective Ramirez on Wednesday. She was mid-40s, sharp eyes, the kind of person who'd seen everything and couldn't be shocked anymore. We sat in a bland interrogation room that smelled like bad coffee and industrial cleaner. Tell me what happened Thanksgiving Day, she said, pen ready. I walked her through everything. The drink, the smell, my suspicions, giving it to Shanice, Jeffrey's confession. She took notes, asked clarifying questions, her expression never changing. Your brother admitted to putting Xanax and melatonin in the drink. Yes. Said it was just enough to make me compliant so he could access my bank account. And you have the insurance payout he mentioned. $10,300. From a car accident last April. I pulled up my bank app, showed her the balance. I was going to use it for tuition. Detective Ramirez nodded slowly. Ms. Williams, Shanice, she's cooperating fully. Hospital ran a tox screen. Alprazolam showed up in her system, consistent with Xanax. The amount was relatively low, but still illegal to administer without knowledge or consent. Is Jeffrey going to jail? That depends on a lot of factors. The DA, whether your family testifies, if he takes a plea deal. She leaned forward. I need to ask, are you willing to testify against your brother? I know that's difficult. I thought about Jeffrey teaching me to throw a football. Jeffrey lying to Mom about who broke her vase. Jeffrey stealing my girlfriend junior year. Jeffrey borrowing $500 and never paying it back. Jeffrey, always Jeffrey, taking and taking and taking. Yes, I said. I'll testify. The next week was psychological warfare. Jeffrey didn't call me directly, there was a no-contact order, but he worked through proxies. Mom showed up at my apartment Sunday evening, her face drawn and exhausted. She'd aged 10 years in 10 days. Baby, please, she started before she was even fully inside. Please don't testify. You're going to send your brother to prison. He tried to drug me, Mom. But he didn't. You're fine. Shanice is fine. Nobody got hurt. She was using her reasonable voice, the one that had talked me out of so many justified angers over the years. The lawyer says if you don't testify, they might drop the charges. Just say you don't remember clearly, that you were mistaken. You want me to lie to protect him. I felt that familiar frustration building. After everything he's done, not just to me, to everyone. How many times have we done this dance, Mom? He's your brother. He's a criminal. I was shouting now, couldn't help it. He was going to rob me while I was drugged. He poisoned his girlfriend. When does it end? When does he face consequences? Mom's eyes filled with tears. When I lose both my sons. Because that's what's happening. Jeffrey is going to prison, and you're becoming someone I don't recognize. That hit harder than I expected. I'm becoming someone who has boundaries. That's different. Boundaries mean destroying your family. No, Jeffrey destroyed this family. Years ago. We've just been pretending otherwise. I opened the door, a clear signal. I'm testifying. I'm sorry that hurts you, but I'm done sacrificing my peace for his mistakes. She left without another word, and I immediately called my best friend Jerome. Jerome came over with takeout and let me vent for an hour before saying anything. That's real friendship, knowing when to just listen. Finally, over cold Chinese food, he asked the question I'd been avoiding. What's your endgame here, D? What do you mean? I mean, you get Jeffrey convicted, then what? You feel better. Your family heals. You all live happily ever after. He wasn't being cruel, just real. I'm asking because I need to know you've thought past revenge. It's not revenge. It's justice. Those aren't as different as you think. Jerome leaned back, studying me. Look, Jeffrey deserves consequences. I'm not arguing that. But are you prepared for what comes after? Your mom might never forgive you. Family gatherings will be awkward or non-existent. People will take sides. People should take my side. I'm the victim here. Should and will are different words. He pulled out his phone, pulled up something, handed it to me. It was a group chat with my cousins. They were talking about me, calling me a snitch, saying I was overreacting, saying family doesn't send family to prison over some pills. My stomach dropped. They think I'm wrong. They think you're technically right but morally questionable. The family narrative is becoming Donnell is tearing the family apart over a mistake. Jerome took his phone back. I'm not saying they're right. I'm saying you need to prepare for the long game. That night, alone in my apartment, I almost called the detective to withdraw my testimony. Almost. But then I remembered Jeffrey's face when he handed me that drink. The casual cruelty of it. The entitlement. The assumption that my money, my safety, my autonomy were all negotiable if he needed something. No. This ended now. The hearing was on a grey December morning that matched my mood. The courthouse was all harsh lighting and uncomfortable benches. Justice as institutional architecture. Jeffrey showed up in a suit, looking respectable, like the big brother I'd once looked up to instead of the person who tried to drug me. His lawyer was expensive looking, probably paid for by Mom and Dad's retirement savings. I testified. Told the truth. Every detail, every moment, every word Jeffrey said in that hallway. His lawyer tried to paint me as vindictive, as holding old grudges, as exaggerating for effect. But the evidence was clear. The tox screen on Shanice. Jeffrey's text messages to his friend about needing money. The Xanax prescription that matched the pills found in his apartment. Shanice testified too. She was powerful, composed, devastating. She talked about trust, about violation, about lying awake at night wondering what would have happened if she'd drunk more. If the dose had been higher. If she'd been alone with Jeffrey when it kicked in. I loved him, she said, voice cracking finally. I was planning a future with him. And he poisoned me. There's no coming back from that. The judge, an older black woman with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor, listened to everything. When it was time for her ruling, the courtroom went silent. Mr. Peterson, she addressed Jeffrey, you violated the fundamental trust that holds society together. You decided your needs superseded everyone else's safety and autonomy. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. She sentenced him to 18 months, with possibility of parole after 9 if he completed drug treatment programs and paid restitution. Mom sobbed. Dad just stared straight ahead. Jeffrey looked at me once, and I couldn't read his expression. Anger. Betrayal. Acceptance. I felt nothing. Just empty. Outside, Shanice found me on the courthouse steps. Thank you, Shanice said, and I wasn't sure what she was thanking me for. For giving her the drink? For testifying? For blowing up all our lives? I'm sorry you got caught in this, I replied. That wasn't supposed to happen. She smiled sadly. But I'm glad it did. Better me than you, honestly. I could walk away. You're stuck with him as family forever. She paused, considering her next words carefully. Are you okay? Really? Was I? The family was fractured. Half my relatives weren't speaking to me. Mom sent me a text that just said, I hope you're happy, dripping with sarcasm and hurt. But I also felt lighter somehow. Like I'd been carrying Jeffrey's sins along with my own for years, and finally put them down. I'm getting there, I said honestly. Therapy helps. And knowing I didn't let him get away with it this time. You did the right thing. Don't let anyone tell you different. Shanice squeezed my arm. I'm going back to school in January, focusing on my degree. Maybe we both needed this to break free. She was right. This was freedom, however ugly. The freedom to say no. To have boundaries. To protect myself even when it cost me. 6 months later, I'm finishing my degree with that insurance money Jeffrey tried to steal. Dad and I have lunch every Tuesday. He apologized for Mom's behavior, said she's in therapy too, working through her enabling patterns. Some cousins have reached out, said they understand now, after their own experiences with Jeffrey over the years. Mom still isn't speaking to me. Jeffrey writes letters from prison that I don't open. Maybe someday I will. Maybe someday we'll rebuild something. But it won't be the same broken dynamic where I sacrifice myself to keep the peace. I'm done being his victim. Done being the family's collateral damage. And honestly, I've never been better. If you believe family should never mean sacrificing your safety and peace, hit that subscribe button. Only manipulators and toxic people who think druggers deserve protection won't subscribe. Comment boundaries matter if you're not siding with people like Jeffrey. If you can't stand people who drug their own family for money, comment justice over loyalty. Drop a like if you believe real family protects each other, not exploits each other.